dealing with the plight of the healer in an unhealed world. Okay, so little known fact, Dale is a psychic surgeon. He does psychic surgery. Dale, what is that?
That is a question I have been expanding on and expanding on through my many years of doing it, about understanding what psychic surgery is. And I think the word is has its limitations in many different ways. Because for a lot of people, psychic surgery does cause, I'd say, it triggers a few people. So the backstory of what you see when you type in psychic surgery on Google itself, there's that a guy called John of God. I think he got charged with thousands of people who rape allegations. He raped loads of people and so on. So there's that stigma and an idea around psychic surgery being a fraud. So when you type in psychic surgery on Google, the main things you see is psychic surgery is a fraud, about people saying they can physically take things out of someone and take it out like cancer and so on. I don't do that. I see psychic surgery in such a different way than that. I see it more as bringing the soul back together piece by piece by working on the client, being patient, allowing you to understand their programs and how they relax as well. So for me, psychic surgery is about working with the client, working with myself, being able to read the energy properly, being able to connect to the ancestors of the North, being able to work with their grandmothers and grandfathers, their ancestors as well. And it got to the point where it's like you remove stuff and you add certain stuff, but it's allowing yourself to see the infinite menu you have. So you're not always bound by just, say, as in Reiki, you have the symbols and so on, which I really respect Reiki. I think it's incredible. But for psychic surgery, it's about understanding you can use many different tools available at all times because there's an infinite world out there. So as I'm doing the psychic surgery session itself, I'll be able to look around the client and scan the body. And straight away, it's like, I'd say it's like an orchestra. It's like there's an orchestra playing, and it's all about me tuning into that orchestra, feeling the rhythm of the session. And it got to the point a year ago, I was on a session with Andrew, and Andrew came into this last session with this lady who I think I had over 20 sessions with her. And he was watching what I was doing, and with what Andrew was saying, I was saying the same things. I'm like, Andrew, I'm picking up exactly what you're saying. He goes, because you're in the orchestra now. You're reading the energy of the session. There's not just you see the client and you've got a plan. You see the client, open the space, get them relaxed, and you just go into that knowingness field, that trust field, that what's needed in the moment for them and so on. I deal with entities, ghosts, demons, and so on. Sometimes, not all the time. A lot of people think it's all about demon bashing. It's not. The odd, I see a demon maybe once every 4 months or something like that. That will come across the table, but it's majority about giving them the power back and the faces afterwards, where they have that spark of life back, where I'm able to give them inspiration again to get out of their mediocrity life. There's a bit of a reoccurrence happening lately in my sessions that I'm seeing people with crossed feet. So when I'm doing the session itself, I'll see their energy field and the legs will literally be crossed. And that's showing me that they're stuck. And it's like, how do I get them to uncross the legs, feel unstuck, and allow them to feel like there is a future, allow them to feel
As
happy and
I'm
so
sitting
on.
here with crossed leg, let me just put it. Let's put it down. Let's put it down.
Yeah.
All right. So you said a lot there. I'm going to unpack some of this, and I'm going to break it down. All right. So psychic surgery is basically healing, not only on the physical level, but on the energetic levels as well. Okay. So from what I gather, whereas Reiki is a more broad spectrum, psychic surgery is a hyper focused art form. Is that correct?
Yes, that's a great way to put it, David. Yeah.
All right. So you're right. There was a scandal about John of God, right, raping a bunch of people. I suppose that's one way to exorcise the demons. Uh, but my point is a lot of healing modalities have very uh, dubious beginnings, like hatha yoga. Like hatha yoga was practiced by sex cults, and hatha yoga was practiced by agoris. So when you have that Lululemon mat, please understand that the principal proponents for hatha yoga, the original proponents, were sect in India called agoris. And yeah, they don't bathe and they don't wash and they hang around funeral pyres. Right? And they eat dead bodies. That human dead bodies. So Just be aware of that. Well, I think with regard to the whole John of God thing, that's neither here nor there. But in terms of the application of psychic surgery, who are the people that come to you, and like under what circumstances, before we get into the meat of this matter?
So a lot of people come to me, from the most depressed people to people who have been under attack since they were a young child, people who have family crests, people who have stuff going on in their lineage. One of the main things I see is ancestral karma, and that's just a repeating pattern which we go over and over again, that are programmed. So talking about a program to someone is, the programs inside of us are like the things controlling us. It's not the actual self. It's usually something we've picked up from the parents and so on. So loads of different people come to see me with loads of different problems. Addiction as well. I've been through my own addiction. I've got myself out of addiction. So I see it all, the addiction, to people who just want an extra hand, people who are well into the healing path, well into their journey, but they need their next step as well. So I also do sessions for those people who are advanced in the healing energy work as well, because it all is about me tuning into the weave of the energy session. It's about allowing myself to have full trust in who I am and what I am. And as I'm reading information and connecting to their grandmothers and their higher soul, there's just a field. It's like when I'm working on clients, I see a doctor team. So I'll have my psychic surgeons, soul surgeons, who are my ancestors, will come around me, and they'll start telling me things as well. This is going to happen this session. You'll need a bit more support on the throat and so on. So for me, I see many different things, from happy to sad to depressed, to people who you give them a session and you can go a tiny bit, but you can't fully get through. And it's not up to me to fully get through to them, because they've chosen their free will that they don't really want to do the work. So it's about allowing yourself to see that and not get stung when you can't heal someone really well, which I was like 10 years ago. I always wanted to heal everyone, make everyone feel happy, but it's not like that. You have
Yeah,
a session. Sorry, David, go on.
no, 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 no. I just want to let you know that the topic of today's discussion, yeah, you were the one that we picked for this. Absolutely. All right. The plight of the healer and the unhealed world, because you've gone through quite the journey as a healer, right? You just
Yes.
said that you wanted to heal everyone else. So the topic of this is the plight of the healer. The first plight of the healer is wanting to heal everyone. And
Yes.
let us know about that, because you've had to fall on your face to make realizations. So let's talk about that for a moment.
Okay, so go back 11 years. I learned Reiki. I decided to teach it before I did any proper inner work on myself. I
Mhm.
wanted to just heal the shit out of people. There was innately a light work, a little program inside of me which drove me. And I had my first reading with Andrew in 2013. So round about that time, Andrew was telling me all about my psychic surgery skills and developing them and so on. Um, so for me, I wanted to heal everyone until it got to the point where I had to take time off, because I was lying to myself, because I was being the martyr and the zealot, where you really want to heal others, but you've got to heal in here first before you start allowing yourself to help
Mhm.
others in. And there was a big ego death for me, thinking I could heal left, right, and center people. I believed that things could be cured from healing and so on. There was a lot of, I'd say, psychosis within me about 9, 10 years ago, where I didn't really see the reality of what it is. And I was kind of driven from my own light work at ego, thinking I was above people and so on. So I had to go for my own journey of self by giving myself that time to allow myself to realize who I was. I could have gone another way in life. I could have died in some ways if I kept going down different directions and different routes. But innately, I'm happy with all the shit I've gone through, because what I've learned in that shit is I can help others with. So when someone comes to see me with an addiction or something like that, I can say I've been there and this is how I got out of that. And sometimes I really connect to people like that. They're like, "Wow, you're addicted to drugs." I was like, "Yes, I was," and I was in a very dark place, and I got myself out of that place.
Yes, you see, a lot of people are not transparent as healers, because the best healers are the people that dug themselves out of a hole, I've found. Okay? There are there are three kinds of healers in the world. There are ones that are just born with natural ability, right? That this is who they are. And even if they decide to, I don't know, take up table tennis as a profession, There's still going to be that healer. It's ingrained, it's unborn. Then there are the textbook healers who go do a weekend course or whatever else, and they go by the book and they stick by the book, and they don't realize that there's an intuitive part of healing that happens. And then there are the people who had to drag themselves out of very dark places and so on. And I find that the latter make the most versatile healers because they know the undulations of the healing process. So let's say you see a textbook healer for 5 months. The textbook healer will go through exactly what they need to do to get you from point A to point B. But let there not be some barrier in your path, let you not stumble, because they're going to have to go back a step. Whereas people who have been through these dark places that I talk about, right, they know and they expect that things will not always go right. When I was a psychotherapist, as an example, and people came to me with addictions like alcohol addiction, I knew that these people were going to relapse. They were going to make mistakes. They were going to go back. It's not going to be a clean break. Okay. Because the first sign of stress, and they're going to go back to what they're doing. And a lot of people don't expect that. So, one of the plights of the healers, the first plight I'm going to say is what happens when you think you doubt your own healing ability. This is the plight of the healer because the world is sick. You're going to meet some sick people, and it's not always going to be 100% successes. Any advice, Dale?
My advice there would be one of the ways back to that would be faith.
Mm-hmm.
Faith innately is that connection to trust, knowing thyself, allowing yourself to pull through. There was a moment in time where I had a session where I did it on the Thornborough Henge. It was a ceremony outside, and there was a lady came with a demon inside of her, and she came like last second, literally last second. She ended up coming. We were doing the psychic surgery, and as I was going around, I could hear, as I was doing the work, I could hear screaming, and she continued to scream, and we got it out. It came out, but it was like the most terrifying scream I've ever heard in my life, even beyond like anything I'll ever hear. And after that, I remember being shocked, and I remember thinking to myself, if this shit happens to a lot of people, they would just give up because it just wouldn't be. It's not all love and rainbows at all times. And for me, what got me through that and got me on the show the next day, kept me going. I did the purification after, was faith, and that was a big lesson for me in faith. That sometimes in life you will have clients, you won't be able to help them. Sometimes it's not the right time for them to be helped. They're not ready for their own evolution, their own journey of growth, and so on. So for me, it was about disentangling from people, not
Mm-hmm.
controlling, not allowing me to hold on to them as they left as a client, and just allowing a full faith mode. If it's meant to be, it's meant to be. And if it's that's Great Mysteries plan, we don't know Great Mysteries plan.
Mm-hmm.
So if you can't help someone, it's fine. Let it go. And there's a part of me what had to just get used to letting it go. That I can't heal this person, or someone will go off a session and they won't come back for another session, and that's fine. That's just again just allowing to have faith and just know that all is going to be okay through the ups and downs. And if you do find it hard in the healing world, how can you reconnect to that faith again? You've got to do the work, the trauma work where you were disconnected from faith. Start connecting yourself to faith again. So I'd say for me, David, faith is probably the best way to describe that. A lot of healers don't have the full faith. They'll have like 20% of faith, then 80% of them will be traumatized, or 80% of them won't really trust themselves. So they end up becoming a healer where some days they're good, some days they're not so good, and so on. I'm not judging. This is just from my own experience as well. Is how can you allow yourself to look into what areas of the past where you were source disconnected, where you didn't have faith, where no one loved you, and so on. How can you give that back, faith back to that past self? So all of a sudden, it just becomes easier and easier, and the faith is there. Trauma work is the main thing for me. I've had to go go back there and start changing that past because
Mm-hmm.
that person was a bit traumatized and didn't have faith. So how can you have faith and bring that through?
All right. There's a lot, as usual. You said a lot there. We're going to unpack that because whenever you guys speak, we need to unpack a few things. The first thing is the concept of faith. Now, for the Reiki practitioners out there, they draw on Reiki, which is universal energy. Psychic surgeon, what power source are you using?
I'm using my own light frequency. I'm enhancing light many folds around different things I've installed into near my. I've not changed my chakras, but I've added stuff onto them like technology where I light up like a star in a way. I'm able to have a surgery room going on, so when I've got a client, I can turn all these lights on, and all of these lights show me the areas what's needed. Or if a client comes to me with weird energies, I turn the lights brighter so that weird energy doesn't change me in any way. I can see through it. Then I'll use different colors like blue and reds to see certain patterns within them. So I'll get like flashlights. That's only a tiny, tiny bit of what I do. And also grandmother energy as well, that usually comes in. So it is a case of using my own light, how to produce more light and highlight all around me and bring that into the client. And there's different variations. I go through different colors and so on. Or I'll do, say, for instance, lately I've been working with snakes and stuff like that. So I've been using snake skin to wrap around them and start withdrawing poisons out. So there's loads of infinite amount of ways I can work. It's just what's needed in that moment.
You know, I asked you that question because I'm getting into the next issue of the plight of the healer, which is exhaustion and fatigue. I remember the rookie mistakes that we make. You get a Reiki certification. You go do your second degree. You go do your master. You're a Reiki master now, then you're a Reiki master teacher. Okay, so you're teaching and so on. And you go out there and you're getting like clients, right? And it might be in an area and then you undercharge for your services. You say, oh, I'm doing like, I don't know, Reiki treatments, and we're doing them for $10. And then you get 100 people running up in your place. Okay. Or you attend one of those street fairs, those holistic street fairs, and you're, because it's a street fair, you're going to be giving your services, you're giving out your cards. You have 100 people running up in your place. You're not organized. These are the rookie mistakes. And then you end up doing 10 clients a day. Okay. The exhaustion factor has got to be off the chain. Here is the truth of the matter. If we started a certification program right now, the amount of healers that you could generate will never account for it won't balance out the amount of people that need help in this world. What is your feeling where this is concerned in terms of the organization, the exhaustion that the healers feel out there?
So, firstly, I run and train in psychic surgery, but not only the training is for psychic surgery, but it's all the other shit along the side of it, which is just as important. And this is what I felt like when I learned Reiki. There was nothing there, even though the skills of the Shokure, Daikomo, and all the symbols were incredible. The skill set was incredible. But for me, I needed the extra care, the extra side of how to maintain myself, how to not get overloaded with clients, how to maintain happiness, how to eat properly, because a majority of fucking healers out there don't eat enough calories in the day. So when you've got 4 clients in a day, you need to like triple, quadruple your amount of calorie intake, because a session, a high frequency session, you just burn through calories, burn through calories. So for me, it's about seeing the other side of it and how can I be balanced in my own wealth, not giving my core energy away. That's another big thing. A lot of healers give people too much energy. So it's about how can you maintain a great high frequency but not overdo it. So not burning yourself out, have time off, schedule yourself so you've got those little breaks and you'll have a few weeks off every few months.
Mhm.
All of those things are very, very important. Looking after yourself. So many people get burnt out from Reiki or energy healing in general. And they're like, why am I burnt out all the time? It's because they actually don't do any of the inner work on the side. It's just all about giving, not receiving to themselves.
So, as the background suggests, the Lions Gate is coming up. I have a little bit of a insight into how these things happen. So there are certain times of the year when you know you're going to get an upsurge in clientele.
Yes.
Everything is going wrong, and you know what I'm talking about. There's certain times of the year where you're gonna get. If you are a healer and you've been in this kind of spectrum, you know what I'm talking about. There's certain times of the year your practice is like, wow, I must. The marketing is surely working. No, it's not the marketing. It's the problems have increased, and so they run up into your practice and so on. So now you're dealing with two things. You're dealing with forces that are affecting you, and then you're dealing with forces that are affecting your clients. So, you have any advice for these people?
So what was the question, David, regarding
Certain
that?
times of year, there's going to be an uptick in clients. You are dealing with not only the forces that you don't want to come out, right, to heal
Yeah.
these people, but you're also dealing with their stuff, right? And at that, it's at these times of years, the energy vampirism is at an all-time high. We're going to talk about the energy vampire client in a while, right? But I want to talk about the energy vampirism as a general thing, because if the practitioner has stuff going on, the client has stuff going on, then you're starting at a deficit in terms of your ability to initiate a healing practice. So,
Yeah. So, first advice is when you book sessions and when you set up a schedule for clients to book, make sure it's not one of your programs booking your sessions. And this is something I've had to learn from. And me and Andrew laugh at it all the time. I call it my dickhead self. Who booked the sessions because I look back and I'm looking at that person. I'm like, what the fuck are you thinking, man? Like, who is that guy? And I was laughing to Andrew. We just call it my dickhead self who does the session. So when you're booking the sessions, think about yourself. Think about how many I can fit in that day without being overwhelmed, how I can maintain it, be happy that it's busy, keep that flow going, but having the time off as well. Be responsible. Don't be a light worker zealot when you're booking sessions going, I can do this many in the day, I'll do some at night, I'll do some on the weekend. Don't do that because you're going to burn yourself out because I've seen it firsthand from myself a lot. So now I have to tell myself when I'm going through the scheduling, I'm like, right, I have to do it in a balanced way. I have to make sure I've got the right amount of sessions, but I'm not overdoing it. And if someone asks for another day, I'm just going to say, no, these are my boundaries. I need my time off. This is what I'm doing. If you want another session, these are the other dates. I'm not changing for you in any way because when I do change for you, I'm in the session I'm after. I'm like, why the fuck am I working on like a Sunday or the day where I was meant to be doing something? So think of yourself first sometimes. Well, not all the think of yourself all the time first, and how to, because the more you're rested, the more you're happy, the more your sessions are going to be tenfold better.
which reminds me, the energy vampire client. You know the kind of client that is going to walk up to you, say, I would like a session, but I can't make it on Tuesday, Thursday, and Monday, and Wednesday, and Friday. I don't think I can do it either. Yeah, you know what? Saturday's gonna be iffy. So the only time I could possibly do is Sunday at 7 p.m. Then they get into your session. They arrive late to your session. Then they get into your session. Let's say you were dumb enough to book them at Sunday at 7 p.m. And then they drag you. They try to go time. They do these kinds of things, right? And they keep dragging you and dragging your time and stuff like that. They'll talk to me about the energy vampire client.
So I had a client not so long ago, and she had a great session with me, and I stupidly went over 20 minutes, and I gave her a bit of more time than I should have gave her, and
Mm.
she started emailing me after, constantly emailing me. Then she started to complain. So in the session itself, she was crying all the way through because she had some really deep issues where it was some nasty drugs she was on and so on. And she had such a really great release, and I saw her an actual self at the end. But all of a sudden, these programs must have started coming in her again an hour later, and it was basically vampiring me and trying to get more out of the session by sending me emails. Why didn't you do this? Why didn't you do this? And so on. So now it's about having being responsible in a way that you're not scared to say something to them, not in a rude way, but standing up for yourself if you need to say it. By being neutral, it's not having a go at them. If someone oversteps the line, I have to say it now, but I say it in a nice way, but a firm way. Before I was all over the place and like, yeah, cool, I'll do this and do that. There has to be a line where you have to say, and if these people cross that line, you have the responsibility to tell them and let them know. Forgive them, don't judge them, but just allow them to know that. And if they continue to step the line, that's when you have to disentangle from them. Just get rid of them. Don't speak to them, because the last thing you want is them in your energy, because they will try and grab some of it. I've seen it.
It's amazing to me that a lot of healers, they when I speak to them, they're like, David, I'm getting out of this healing thing. It's too stressful because clients attack them. Yeah, clients will attack you. They will attack you because that's the reason why they're clients. It seems rather obvious to me because
It
they
does,
need to
doesn't
heal,
it?
right? They need to heal, right? But a lot of people have dropped out of this healing game specifically because clients have attacked them in some way, shape, or form. And I say to the practitioner, you may have to do some work on yourself as well. There are a lot of practitioners that come in with a lack of confidence and they allow the response of clients. The client should never be your validation,
Yes, completely agree.
right? Testimonials are fine for marketing. They do not tell you who you are. And so I usually say to people who are experiencing this and they want to like quit and then get a job in a bank or something, right? Don't do it. Don't do it just because you reach a difficult client, because you're going to get difficult people anyway. And the reason why you're getting these people is that universe is actually showing you things you need to see. Which brings us to our next issue, the plight of the healer. Just because you're a healer and you have that title and you have a title or a piece of paper or whatever else, you think it somehow exempts you from the universe sending shit your way? No, right? Some people think that, well, I have my Reiki certificate. I just don't know why my
That's
car
it.
would start. Okay, so Dale, I want to bring in this discussion. Why, why would their car start, Dale? I mean, they became Reiki masters. I don't understand. So, in terms of your own healing, as you're healing others and you're healing yourself, and if you
Yes.
think you can escape that by somehow expanding your consciousness, you'll be wrong. So, Dale, have you experienced that yourself personally?
Yes, I have experienced that, and this is why it's so important. And I see it left, right, and center. I see people who become practitioners, do the training, and I know innately that they won't take any of the other stuff in, the responsibility, looking after themselves, hardening your energy. One thing I can give to the show, and something I use, which is very important, is before I was just allowing clients into my field, and I had no boundaries within my energy. I didn't send prayer to my energy field, and now I make it a ritual where I harden my energy field for clients. So
Mhm.
before a session, I'd see like red dragon skin within me, or like a hard block of metal, blue metal, or so on. And I'd have really thick skin. And I'd always say out loud, I am not taking on their stuff. I'm not allowing their projections into me, because 8 years ago I did. I was like an open door. I was there thinking my Reiki protected me, and all of
I'm
a sudden
sorry.
I had
I'm
archangel
sorry to be
Michael
laughing at you, right?
I had
But you see
Archangel
this
Michael
rookie, this
protected me.
right? Listen, it never ends well for a light worker. Okay, it never ends well. Okay,
Just
because look, Andrew's a bit harsh on them, but I tend to think of it a little bit differently. These people are very well intentioned. They want to heal the planet and save the world. Okay, and in their enthusiasm to do so, they don't realize that there are consequences to be paid for opening yourself like that. Okay, I once knew a light worker who felt that she had to hug everybody, hug all her clients. She hugged her clients after the session. You know that part where all stuff is coming out?
a long time
Neil,
ago.
let me give you the story, right? So she used to hug her clients. She used to hug her clients. Bit of weight when I knew her. A couple of years she was this big. Okay, that is the best weight loss plan I have ever seen in my life. Okay, she wasn't dieting or anything. She was just shrinking naturally. And I'm like, you still hugging people? She says, yes. I said, oh, you think you might want to go see someone, which brings us to the next issue. If you are a healer, it is in your best interest to know other healers. Okay? You know
Yes,
a bunch of healers. You know me,
no,
you know Laura, you know Maddie. Has it come in handy?
yes, it really has. And finding healers who aren't in competition as well and don't get triggered if their own unique skill comes out. And it happens a lot when you have a friend where you have to dig yourself to them. You have to literally not show who you are and how great you are. Not in an egotistic way, but in terms of how intelligent surgery or anything, whatever. A lot of people get triggered by it. You've got those friends, it's time for you. My friends are not like that. Friends who are not in competition, like Laura, myself, Andrew. I was laughing because it was like 10 o'clock at night and Andrew was using the massage gun on my back and Matt was doing psychic surgery. It's like other people, what they do on Fridays. Like we were just there, like,
It's a typical healer Friday night. It's a typical healer Friday night. I get it. I get it. All right. So my next question is: not all healing is fluffy with little flowers and little hearts floating up to the ceiling. Sometimes there's such a thing called tough love. Is that true?
Very true, and you need to give it out at times. You need to harden yourself a little when you give the advice because love and light doesn't work on so many people. Airy fairy, giving them instant gratification, giving them hope for something what's not worth hoping about. It's about them understanding healing requires graft, it requires time, effort, dedication to who you are, what you are. It's not an overnight job. It's a job where you have to keep chipping away year after year until the point comes where you go, holy shit, I feel fucking ace. Look at some of the shit what held me back then doesn't hold me back now, and I see them as victories myself. Like I look at myself 4 years ago on shows, and I'm like listening to myself, and I'm like, who's that guy? It's like who's that guy now? And it's just some of the issues I had back then, and which I don't have now. I'm like, it fucking works. I was like, yeah, I like look back and I'm like, this shit works, doesn't it?
Yeah, I
Even though
actually
I
have
do have,
a very good example for that. So, like as an example, somebody comes to a healer and the person has stage 4 cancer. Okay, and then the healer says, "Oh, we're gonna do this, and we're gonna heal you, and so on." And it's not a matter of false hope, right? The problem that you're battling is that the doctors have told them you are going to die. Okay?
yes,
Once a doctor, a man in a white lab coat, tells somebody that they're going to die, it's almost an assured situation. If
yes,
that client has accepted that they are going to die, there are very rare cases where people have said, no, hell to the no, I'm not dying. Okay, I'm going to
yes,
fight, 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 fight. Your job as a healer in that situation, because that's a difficult question to answer. This is my opinion. Okay? Your job as a healer is to tell this person, you're going to fight. I'm here for it. Okay? We're going to fight. And if you lose, if you lose this fight, you will die like a warrior, right? Staring death in the face with two middle fingers up, right? That's how that goes. What you don't do is tell people you are going to heal them. And what you don't do, and for the traditional doctors who are listening to this, is tell anybody, oh, by the way, you're going to die. Don't say those words to people.
yes, yeah, yeah, yeah.
I
I
don't know if you've ever
completely
had these kinds of situations, but the psychological effects of saying something like that to somebody is not to be underestimated, especially if you're wearing a symbol of authority like your stethoscope and your white lab coat. So,
yes,
have you actually met clients who came in with programming from other people where their prognosis was grim, right? And they decided that they were going to fight or not fight. But if they accept the programming, it's all over. The game is over from there.
yes. So all the time with depression, people who go on antidepressants and they end up, it turns into them being drug addicts, where they can't live and live off the drug. And
Mm.
when they go through withdrawals, it will take a hell of a lot of time to actually get them into a natural healing state where they can actually feel their emotions, feel the chemistry of who they are, And so I see that all the time, people coming from depression into the healing path, and it helps them. It gives them light at the end of the day. And another story I have was my father. So my father wasn't spiritual at all, and 2 years ago, just over 2 years ago, he got diagnosed with brain tumor, and it was like a little program came on, turned on in me because I wanted to heal the shit out of him, and I thought I could heal his cancer. And I remember I had a session with Andrew, and I spoke to him about it. And I remember Andrew saying these words to me was, the best thing you can give them is just being yourself and being his son. He doesn't want you to heal him. He doesn't want you to do anything but just be there for him. And that was a huge part of me, which it was awful. It was horrible. I felt helpless. I felt like I couldn't do some of my skills to help the person I love not die. And he
Yes,
crossed over. It took
yes,
him
because the
through.
fact of the matter is, you're a healer and you can't heal.
Yes, yes. And that was probably one of the hardest lessons for me in this lifetime. And to be able to step back from that and just give him my space, my experience, my love, without fully knowing, trying that can heal him. I do believe you can heal other illnesses sometimes, but sometimes you can't. Sometimes you can. That's just the way of life. Um, and so yeah, I have seen it, David, from depression to cancer, to people who've come with serious mental issues where I've been able to help them. The doctor said they can't fix them, they need tablets. They don't end up taking the tablet and choosing the healing route, and it really works for them. So I've seen all sorts of different avenues.
My personal story is very, very odd, and I wouldn't suggest that anybody follow my path. I was lifting weights in a gym, and I twisted some bones at the bottom of my back and trapped some nerves at the bottom of my back. The pain was something that you can't imagine. And so I went to a physician, two actually, and they all came back with the same thing. We got to cut your back open and we're going to do some surgery on the bones. And then I thought about this for a while, and then the only answer that came to me in meditation was no. The only answer that came to me in meditation was no. I had prior bad experiences with the medical industry that were beyond my control. As an example, as a baby, I learned to walk on my toes, and back in the day, right, long time ago, doctors would convince people and your parents to let you cut open the back of the baby's legs to do something called an Achilles tendon slide.
Oh,
Okay, so they cut open the back of the baby's legs and they extend the tendon which is in the back of the legs. It leaves a horrible scar, but it allows you to put your they say it allows you to put your foot back on the ground, right? Your heels. Funny story. When I healed after 6 weeks of not walking, I went straight back to walking on my toes. Okay. As an adult, the weight put my heel back down on the ground. Okay. And
wow.
so these are the experience that I'd had. But coming back to the injury, what happened was that I chose to disobey the doctor's advice. I chose to use hatha yoga to put traction on these bones and pull those bones apart. I can tell you that was excruciating pain. It was. And then all of a sudden, one day, there was a pop, no more pain.
Wow. Wow.
There was a pop and no more pain. I stretched the shit out of my body. Okay. And then there was a pop and then there was no more pain. And it coincided with the development of a certain amount of fight in me. Okay. All right, because I can tell you back pain and nerve pain is central nervous system pain is a different kind of pain. And a lot of people wouldn't have gone that route. One of the things that I was told when I was going that route, because the doctor actually did a checkup on me again because he needed money for his surgery. I don't know what the case may be. And says, if you continue like that, we might have to prescribe Motrin and morphine for you, right? Like big, and I'm like, no, I'm good. He says because it's not good for your heart if you're in constant pain,
Yes.
which
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
true. It's not good for your heart if you're in constant pain. But I decided to disobey, and I decided to do that. That was the listen, Dale. That was the Best decision I ever made in my life. Okay? Because I learned something by going through that process, more like growing through that process than anything else. And it did put a certain amount of resiliency and fight into my soul. And, that brings us to the next issue here. Okay? The authority figures. There has been an inherent conflict between traditional approaches to health and alternative approaches to health. This has been a battle that has been waging since traditional medicine was born. Notwithstanding, the father of modern medicine was a metaphysician. He actually really was. Hippocrates was a metaphysician. Okay? That's who that man was. The medical symbol with the two snakes twined around the staff
Yeah.
being your spine, snakes being the energy transference running through the chakras, Kundalini running up and down. That's what that is, with the little wings at the end floating you up. Ascension. Like, I don't know how that I don't know how that goes over people's minds, that the father of modern medicine was actually a metaphysician. So what we had in the development, because I do my healing history, I read my healing history, was a bunch of metaphysicians got together, decided to create an evidence-based practice based on the utilization of herbs. I'm talking about the rudiments of modern medicine, based on the utilization of herbs and certain practices, body manipulations, and that's where modern medicine started. And then they said, you know what? It would be good for our brand if we said everything else is crap. Okay?
more money.
Right? It would be good for our brand if we said everything else is crap. So they created this evidence-based rule. And so this fight between the traditional and the alternative medicine practitioners has been waging for a while. And here is the thing. To this date, if you go to any holistic school, they teach a certain kind of inferiority complex into their people. Okay? And it doesn't need to be, because what the traditionalists are doing, they're doing their thing, you are doing your thing. If you inherently, as a healer, feel that you are subservient or what you're doing is less important, then it reflects in the way you approach your healing practice. Okay? Because you
Yes.
feel inferior. On the other hand, I can't send you to school. Well, we have schools. I can't send you to school to learn your own energy level. That's something that you have to discover for yourself. So, how can we somehow make a bridge between what is called traditional medicine and what is called alternative medicine? I'm going to throw that out there.
Yes. So for me, it feels like it's how getting not just one advice, one opinion, but getting many of them. And I feel a lot of people get stuck on the one opinion, where they go see a doctor or someone and they take their opinion and belief system and they just go ahead with it because that's what their parents told them. That's what the karma of the ancestors is. It's about allowing us to have more than one opinion, going to various different practitioners or physicians, people who know what they're saying, listening to them, and finally taking your time to process it, then making a decision from there. I feel it's too rushed. A lot of people are rushed into making decisions, rushed into taking the wrong medicines, and so on. I do believe at times there is a need for modern medicine, like antibiotics and stuff like that. So
Mhm.
it's about how can you blend all of them together, not in competition, by allowing yourself to use modern medicine when needed, but knowing when not to use it, and knowing that sometimes companies in these modern medicine industries don't care about people. All they care about is the money. Seeing that, understanding that, not getting really irate and angry about that, because I've seen people who are really fucking pissed off with the medical industry that they'll never take an antibiotic. They won't go to the doctors. They'll look at the doctor and they won't listen to them. And I feel like you have to have that certain respect. You don't have to listen to them, but sometimes in life you might die if you don't have an antibiotic, or you have something. Modern medicine does work at times, but I feel there needs to be a communication process where all of them are working together. I don't think we'll see that. I really don't, because of what the infrastructure's like. But for me, there's so many beautiful things in the medicine, being a holistic practitioner, hyperbaric chambers, all of those different things. And that was for me the biggest understanding about it, was learning about hyperbaric chambers and how fucking incredible they are and what they could do for a lot of people, and the amount of billions of pounds they could save on the people for just installing hyperbaric chambers in regular hospitals or doctors and so on. So it's such a deep topic, and it's about how
Actually have some background in this, so I'm gonna
yes,
jump in here. Let
yeah, yeah.
me let me put it this way. This is my philosophy of health. Okay, my philosophy of health, my personal philosophy is I'm going to avoid things before they happen. Number one, okay, which means I am eating right. I make sure to eat some dead leaves every day, alive leaves, I should say, right? Biogenics means supporting life with life. I make sure to eat some leaves every day, some fruits, something that grows, right? I'm vegan in case you're wondering. I know you're smiling
He's
going
not
that.
got the
No,
teacher.
I'm not going to, we're going to have that discussion another day. So I make sure to eat a little bit every day. I do a little bit of exercise. I try to keep my mind and my body healthy. That's number one. And when I say my mind, because I know that this will make this sick. So meditate. So you, I start from the point of prevention. Okay, like okay, a little known fact. I used to be a little bit of a germaphobe. So like if you coughed 3 times around me, I would disappear. Okay, so
Have
so
you got that coughing on here?
right, right. We got coughing
Sound effects.
on the studio, right? I would disappear, but I've grown since then, all right, and so I trust my immune system. So the best thing is to fortify your immune system and start from prevention. That's what I do. The
Yeah, yeah.
second thing is if something is going wrong, I am going to go get some leaves first. Okay. I am going to go to a former friend of mine and said, "Hi, I suspect I need to detox something. Give me the dandelion, give me the milk thistle, give me the golden seal, give me everything that you have inside that." Notice that I said I'm going to the former friend of mine. I didn't say I was going to the store, right?
Friend, yes.
Right. Then I will go to the health food store to find out whether they have echinacea. Okay? Right? If it's not strong enough, then I am going to a doctor to get something. Okay? Now, that's my philosophy. A lot of people is like, I'm sorry, did I stub my toe? Straight to the doctor, give me some antibiotics. You see, it's too much. Too
Yes.
much. Right? It is too much. And so, what I have found, here's another little known fact about me. My MBA specialism is on the management of health systems. Okay, which is why I don't trust the pharmaceutical industry because I had to study them. I had to study hospitals and the pharmaceuticals industry. My thesis was on that. Let me tell you a few things about the pharmaceutical industry. There was a time when the pharmaceutical companies were very ethical. They really was. They were called apothecaries before. Okay, you went into an apothecary. It was a small town. The person knew you and knew your children. So when they prescribe something for you, when they put together something for you, a tonic or whatever it is, they cared about the outcome. They cared about the outcome. I am going to ask you guys, does anybody listening to this broadcast believe that Mr. Joe Blow, who's the head of a pharmaceutical company, gives a shit about whether you recover from, I don't know, some virus that is spreading all over the planet? No, he doesn't give a shit. Okay? He cares about his shareholders, and that's where things went off the rails with the pharmaceutical industry.
Beautifully said, David.
That's where
And
things
that's
went off the rails. I honestly believe. right? As soon as you start to commercialize the health industry, whether it be on the light worker side, because there's a bunch of light worker websites. Andrew and I, before I came on this call, were looking at this lady's website some time ago. Okay, she sent us an email some time ago, so we went on her website. Okay, and I don't know, Dale, because we're going to have this discussion about the plight of the light worker and the healer, because there are people who make healers look bad in this world. So this lady has a video where she's showing a lot of cleavage from um, breasts which aren't the ones that she was born with. Let's put it that way. Okay, and we're watching the videos and we're like, I don't feel healed. Do you feel healed, Andrew? And somehow, and this is not to cast aspersions on what people choose to wear. I understand we're in 2023 and so on, right? But you're presenting a picture for people that is designed to gain certain kinds of reactions, right? I'm a psychotherapist. I understand what you're doing, right? People should trust you because you're not bullshitting, not because of the way you look, right? And so there is this aspect, the other plight of the healer, where other healers, because of commercial interests. By the way, this healer probably has an OnlyFans page as well. So let's just keep it real. Let's just keep it real. You're a healer and you have an OnlyFans page. Just in case the healing doesn't work out, you've got another way of healing the financial situation. My point is, how do you deal in a world where you got healers, right, with OnlyFans pages? The OnlyFans pages are going to make them very popular real quick, and people go to them, right? Women want to be healed from their lack of sexiness. I don't know. And so they're going to listen to the healer, okay? And men want to be healed from, let me not even go down that road. You see, this could take us down a very dark road. My point is, how do you deal in this world with these kinds of circumstances? Go ahead, Dale.
I would say by standing in your own authentic truth of sovereignty and
What does
power.
that what does that word mean though?
So
Authentic, because people throw it around, but what does it mean?
allowing yourself to be the true you and allowing
Yes.
that true you to come and the world to see the true you, being honest, being open, being honest about your mistakes, knowing that you're not perfect in every way, allowing yourself not to fall into character mode to sell shit, like getting your boobs out or selling yourself in a way to be a light worker, going on about channeling this galactic warfare here just to get view counts and validate yourself so you get hard on, just shit like that. It's very important that you don't fall into that. And if you see yourself falling into it a little bit, allow yourself to come back. And this is why figuring out who you are is so important. And the big journey of healing and looking after yourself is knowing thyself of who the fuck you are, knowing your full story about who you are. That's a lot of people don't know themselves. And I think this is why everyone falls into being a character, being the martyr, being the idiot, is because they don't know who they are. And they've been brought up in a world where they don't tell you who you are. You have to see a celebrity or you have to see this person flashing the boobs for money and go, oh, hang on, I want a bit of that. You're not seeing any authentic people around you, like healers, teachers, doctors, or people who actually are nice people. Usually it's a world full of fucking morons and Karen and Kens and all sorts of the shit.
I promise I would not use those sound effects on in the studio, but I'm going to do it now. God damn, my brother, that was very well said. That was very well said. Right? Let me give you guys some advice. You want to find yourself a healer, right? Find a healer that shows up like how Dale shows up today, right? This is Dale, right? Dale could have showed up any other way that he wanted. He has his mug, right? He has a cap on. He doesn't give a shit what anybody thinks because he knows who he is, right? He could have shown up any other way today. You want to find a healer? Find a healer that just shows up, okay? Right? The one that shows up and gives a damn about you is the healer for you. right? If you show up and the healer is wearing the long flowing robes with the boobs out, right? And the long golden tresses and stuff like that, and says, well, I'm here to be your healer, but I mean, if that doesn't work out, you could also get my OnlyFans page.
Watch out for people who call themselves wizards as well. Be wary. Not
Right.
saying all wizards. I'm not
Right.
not going.
Look, listen
Be
to
wary.
me. Like, be the healer that just shows up. For those of you who are healers out here, you're already fighting against people who present themselves as healers, and they're talking about doing a lot of shadow work with people. Shadow work is a dangerous thing, by the way, just so that we're clear. Okay, I'm a
Completely agree.
psychotherapist. When we say shadow work, we mean the parts of your personality you don't want to face, the parts of yourself you don't want to face. That is very delicate work that requires a specific skill set. And I'll tell you why that is. Because hell resides in your mind. Okay? Hell resides in your soul. And when you go to these kinds of places and you don't have somebody that is going to help you process what's inside there, what happens is that those things do not go away. Like, let's say somebody is a serial killer, but you know, you see them in church on Sundays. He's on the pulpit talking to you. Okay? But this priest decided that I'm going to do shadow work with Joe Blow down the streets. Right? I hear like his wife has an OnlyFans page. So I'm going to do shadow work with him because he's a perfect person for me to do shadow work. Gets into the shadow work aspect, and the individual asks him why he's there, and the priest says to him, well, I feel a pressure inside of me, a pressure that's building. It's like mounting. I don't know what it is. I need to get into this thing. So the Joe Blow does the aspectics process with him, trying to get him to get into contact with this pressure that's inside of him that's coming out. And then let's say it works. Let's say the priest goes in and sees himself killing people. Okay? Encountering that pressure that's building inside of him will give him relief. You want to know what the conclusion that he will come to is? All I need to do is kill people, and then the pressure will be gone. That's the solution that he's going to come up with. Because Joe Blow is not trained enough to help him process these things in a manner that is going to be safe for his congregation. I'm just teaching you by analogy here, right? And a lot of people are out there are releasing things in people that they don't want to do the other part of it. So Dale, I talk about the fact that social media has poisoned the world. I talk about the fact that the news media, the legacy media is poisoning the world. But the truth of the matter is there's a bunch of light workers out there, there's a bunch of healers out there that are also inadvertently, unwittingly, right, poisoning the world by getting their clients to release aspects of themselves, which is not good for anybody else.
And that's why a lot of times I meet people, and the sooner this, when I ask them what work they're doing on themselves, and they say, I'll do a bit of shadow work every week or 2 days a week, then I know they're not doing any healing at all. That I know that they're just defeated by their own shadow because they don't have any awareness, or they don't have it within them to how to work on the shadow in that way. For me, shadow work has been bastardized in a way, overused in many different ways. It's got various different teachers and healers going on about it and selling it to people. I think a lot of people shouldn't do shadow work. I think people should focus more on bringing more of their own light within to themselves. Trauma
Correct.
work is how you see it. For me, trauma work, you could class that as shadow work, but a lot of people go after the shadow like it's a hunting ground, and they don't really do anything. Most of the time, it's like a fart in the wind. So it's getting past this idea of shadow work, shadow work. I think it's destructive to a lot of people.
Yeah, one of the most important, look, I knew a coach. She's a sex coach, a relationship coach, and she was doing shadow work with people. Okay? It didn't occur to her that she had She did 3 workshops, 12 people in the workshop each. That was the ceiling, right? Of the 12 people that are in the workshop, on each of them, she had an 85% divorce rate after the class. Duh! You're going to be releasing parts of people that they're not ready for, and they are going to react and abreact. But anyway, I'm gonna let you round this up by telling me what is your best advice. We gotta do a giveaway. Um, what
Giveaway.
is your best advice for people who are healers in terms of their practice and so on? Because this is about the healer in an unhealed world, and honestly, they face a whole bunch of things. This has been a wonderful discussion, Dale. Go ahead.
Yeah. So a lot of times I see people who come to see me or they come to a ceremonial event, and one of them awakens, and then one of them's ego goes fucking nuts, and they end up, like you say, David, divorced, disconnected from each other. If you're in the spiritual world and you're listening to this and you're just getting into it, don't let your ego take you away from people you love. Don't let it take you away from your family and your friends, your old friends. So don't judge them. Obviously, narcissistic relationships are different. Abuse is a different thing. A lot of times, people give fire where there's no fire needed, and people can just get on their own little ego tangent to their partner. Better than you. Now I'm spiritual. I'm better than you. No, you're not better than that person in any way. You're all in equal co-creation at the same awareness. You have to give each other respect. So if you are in the spiritual world, don't get over you. Remember to keep humble. Remember to keep light. Remember to be respectful of other. Remember to listen when you're having a conversation with someone. Master the art of listening without judging in any way. Making sure you have communication skills. Don't give up on yourself and your human skills. Don't let spirituality take over you and hijack you until you actually de-evolve instead of evolving. That would be my advice to you. Learn psychic surgery, learn Reiki, but also learn what it means to be a human, what it means to be grounded, what it means to exercise, and so on. Everything has to count. And my company is called Symmetry of Health, and I wrote up my journey to find out what I wanted to call my business. I wrote from the start of my awakening to here to the now, and it was an understanding that health sometimes is not balanced, and it's finding the balance in all of the health. Sometimes health can be too unbalancing, and people think it's health, but it's really fucking them up. So for me, it was always finding the balance within balance. I'll make mistakes all the time, but how can I not be too over there, too over here, and how can they come into balance as much as possible?
Okay. I didn't use the crowd sharing, but yeah, that's thank you, my brother. So the first thing I'm going to do is I am going to put the giveaway for today is an audio deck, not an audio deck, physical one, but a site that you could go to that's hosted on my website, one of my websites, that allows you to download royalty-free music of all different types, shapes, and whatever. We have categories in there. And if you have a business and so on, you know how much you have to pay to get stuff. And we've made it easy for you. So this is free, of course. So please just scan the QR code. I'm going to hold it up there for 10 seconds for you guys to scan it. It is 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4. Are you scanning the code, Dale? I could just give you the website. 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, and we're back. All right, Dale, give these people a way to get back to you. I'm going to probably put your information on screen right now. So let us know your business, what you do, and what you have coming up.
So if you'd like any psychic surgery, soul surgery sessions, head over to daletobin.com to book a session with me. I also do past life regression. I also train in psychic surgery as well. So if you're wanting to learn psychic surgery, I have many different courses coming up. And of course, I'm going to be doing the combined therapy with Andrew, Laura, and Matty in England. So there's loads of different dates coming up for that. So yeah, I just want to say thank you, David. You're an inspiration, and what an incredible show it's been.
Thank you so much. Guys, I hope you got that QR code. If you're not, you can watch it on the replay. Otherwise, we will see you guys later.